Hi everyone. In this video, we're going to look at how a debate round looks. So when you start your debate career, we're going to look at what you should expect when you enter debate round, the speech orders, so who is going to speak when, and how long each speech is going to be. And we'll break each of those topics down by the type of debate that you are doing as well. So whether you're in policy, public forum, or LincolnDouglas, we're going to look at how each of those types of debate will be different. So first, let's break down each of our three types of debate. And there technically are more types of debate. For example, world schools is another type that's getting pretty popular right now. But we're going to look specifically at policy, public forum, which is also called PF, and LincolnDouglas, which you might have heard called LD. So first, let's look at policy. And the topic for each type of debate is going to last for a different length of time. And in policy, there's one topic per year. So each year, each school year, for the whole debate season, there's going to be one individual debate topic. But because of that, the topics are often written very broadly so that a lot of different ideas can fall underneath. For example, one topic in the past was increasing space exploration. So throughout the year, you might debate a bunch of different types of space exploration. Or for this current year, the topic is criminal justice reform. So that could be in a bunch of different areas. So for example, changing the legalization status for different currently controlled substances, changing the way that evidence is handled or that police are held accountable, a bunch of different topics that can fall under that. And in policy, each team is going to have two partners. So it'll be two-person teams and two teams against each other. So there'll be four people in a round. And each partner is going to speak twice. So in a round, each person will speak once, and then you'll go back around again, and each person will speak a second time. And the sides are chosen for you. So before each debate round, there will be what's called a pairing, is a sheet of paper, now they're often online, that lists who is debating who, so which teams from which schools are debating each other, and that will give you the side of whether you're affirmative or negative in there. Public forum is pretty similar, except there's one topic per month, so the topic changes quite a bit. The teams look the same, there's still two partners on each team, and each person still speaks twice. But in public forum, the sides are chosen by the flip of a coin. So before the round starts, the two teams will flip a coin, and then the winner can pick which side they want to be on. And then generally, the way I've seen it is that the other team who doesn't pick which side they are gets to pick if they want to speak first or second. So there's there's a little bit more choice in terms of which side you're on in public forum. And lastly, LincolnDouglas. These topics are one every 2 months. So every 2 months, the topic will be different. There's no partners. There's only one person on each side, so it's just you versus somebody else. And if you are negative, you will speak twice in the round. If you're affirmative, you'll speak 3 times. And they offset that by giving the negative a little bit more time in each of their 2 speeches. But the sides are chosen for you. So you're told before each round whether or not you're affirmative or negative on the side of that topic. So let's go through each style here. First, let's look at policy. And this, you'll see, is sort of a setup of how the debate round might look. In every round, you'll have a judge. And they don't participate. They just sit there and listen and write down the arguments in flow for what is happening there. Then you have 2 teams. So you have the affirmative team. Again, this is chosen before the round. So this team will walk in the room knowing that they're affirmative, or they should. And there's 2 people on the team. So you have your first and second affirmative speaker. And this negative team, they also know which side they are before they go in the room. And they have their first and second speakers. Now the way the round works, once the round starts, is the speech order here. And so first is the 1AC, or the first affirmative constructive. Affirmative constructive is what AC stands for. So this person is going to be the first person to speak in the round, and they're going to speak for 8 minutes. So they're going to stand up. They're going to generally they want to, so maybe like move to the middle of the room, or if there's like a podium over here or something, and they're going to speak for 8 minutes. And generally, that speech is like written out beforehand, so it's not anything improvised. They know what they're going to say. They should know what they're going to say before they start. After that is what's called cross-examination. That lasts for 3 minutes, and that's where the second negative speaker, this person is now for 3 minutes going to ask the person who just spoke. They're going to ask them questions for 3 minutes about whatever they want. Anything that they heard, anything that they missed, anything in that speech. And the reason this person asks the questions is because the first negative speaker is going to speak next. So while they're getting their stuff ready, this person is going to be asking questions. And the cross-X is always you ask questions of the person who just spoke. So this cross-X is asking this person questions. This cross-X is asking this person questions. This cross-X is asking them. Here, they're asking them. So every speaker will be asked questions once after their first speech. All right, so after the first cross-examination, now this negative speaker is going to go. So the first affirmative goes, then the first negative goes. And they also have 8 minutes. And this will also generally be pre-written out. There might be some improvised stuff, but almost completely it should be pre-written out. And then after their 8 minutes, then cross-examination. This time, the first affirmative speaker is going to ask them. And if you're wondering why is it the first affirmative speaker this time? It's because if we look at the order, the 2AC is coming up next. This person is going next. So while the first affirmative speaker, while this person is asking questions, this person can be getting their speech ready. So cross-X happens, then the 2AC, so the second affirmative constructive, this speaker, they're going to speak then for 8 minutes. And then cross-examination. This person is going to ask them questions now. Why is it this person? Because the 2NC is going next. So while they're prepping their speech, this person is going to be asking questions. So cross-examination happens, then we have the 2NC. So this person, second negative constructive, second negative speaker, they are now going to speak for 8 minutes. And then after that is done, last cross-examination, the second affirmative speaker is going to ask them questions. Now, this is where things get a little wonky here. The 2NC just happened, so this negative speaker just went. Now, after cross-X, next we have the 1NR, the first negative rebuttal. So this person, the first negative speaker, is going to go again. So we have this little period of time here where it goes negative, negative. And this is what we call the negative block. And if you are in policy, you'll learn more about, if you're in the policy lab this week, you'll learn more about what the negative block is and how to do it strategically. But that's the part where it gets wonky, because it goes negative, negative. And in the rebuttals, notice there's no more cross-X. Cross-examination is done after the constructives. So after the first negative speaker goes, then the first affirmative speaker goes again. So this is now the first affirmative rebuttal. And notice that these are only 5 minutes. So once you start the rebuttals, these are only 5 minutes long. After the first affirmative rebuttal, then the second negative rebuttal goes, so the 2NR. And lastly, the two AR, so the second affirmative rebuttal, is the last speaker to go in the round. And then after they're done, the round is over, and the judge over here, after listening to everything, thinks about who they thought won the round, and then makes the decision. Now, there is prep time allotted, so each team has 8 minutes of prep time that they can use whenever they would like, and they can split it up. So, for example, the affirmative team might want to use prep, maybe like they use 4 minutes here, and they use 2 minutes here, and then 2 minutes here. Or they could use, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 3 minutes, or something. And then same thing with the negative, they might want to use, maybe 4 minutes here, 4 minutes here. They can split up the prep time however they would like, but it's a running clock. So however much they use, let's say they use 5 minutes here, they've only got 3 left for the rest of the round. So quick review. The constructives, the first 4 times that everybody goes, is 8 minutes long. So first affirmative speaker goes for 8 minutes, cross-X. First negative speaker goes for 8 minutes, cross-X. Second affirmative for 8 minutes, cross-X. Second negative for 8 minutes, cross-X. And we're here. Everybody spoke the first time. The constructives are all finished. Now the rebuttals start. And again, this is where the order flips. First negative rebuttal for 5 minutes. First affirmative rebuttal for 5 minutes. Second negative rebuttal for 5 minutes. Second affirmative rebuttal for 5 minutes. And that is the end of the round. All right, next let's take a look at public forum. And this looks similar to policy, except for the main difference is that, because remember a couple slides ago, I said that the sides aren't chosen for you when you enter the room in public forum. Before the round started, this team and this team flipped a coin. And let's say this team won. And they said, okay, we want to go affirmative. So they picked their side. And the negative team might have said, okay, in that case, we want to speak first. We want to go first. So in that case, then, this team will be the first speakers, and this team will be the second speakers. So the number of speeches stays the same. Everybody still gives the same number of speeches. But notice in the order, this team is going here, whereas this team is going here. So that's the one difference, is that from policy, the sides are not chosen. So this team got to pick that they wanted to be affirmative. And then the other team got to pick and say, okay, we want to be first in the speech order then. So in that case, they get to pick. Okay, from there, this looks similar to policy, except for there's 2 crossfires here, and then what's called a grand crossfire. So crossfire, or cross-examination, has a different name, but similar type of thing. Doesn't happen after every speech, it happens after each round of speaking. So let's see. So in this case, this team is speaking first. So the first speech is going to be this first negative team. This speaker is going to get up and speak for 4 minutes. Then the first speaker from this team is going to get up and speak for 4 minutes. So this and this, they each speak for 4 minutes. And then after that is what's called crossfire. Crossfire lasts for 3 minutes. And during crossfire, both speakers from both teams that just went will ask each other questions and answer. So questions can go both ways, from person to person. And generally what they'll do is they'll say, maybe they'll ask a question and then this person will answer. And they'll ask a question, this person will answer. They'll ask, and kind of go back and forth just to create some type of order. It doesn't always work that way. Some people don't. It's not a rule, but that's the trend that it seems like people try to follow. After crossfire is the second speeches here, which means this person, because again, this team is speaking first. So the second speaker is going to go for 4 minutes. Second speaker is going to go for 4 minutes. And then they have another crossfire. And this time it's between these two people. So question, 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 question for 3 minutes. Next, they have what's called the summary, which is the first speaker from each team. So this team is speaking first. So they're going to give their summary for 3 minutes. They're going to give their summary for 3 minutes. Then they have what's called grand crossfire, which is everybody from both teams. So both of these speakers and both of these speakers can ask questions between themselves. And how grand crossfire works is, I don't know if that will ever be determined, but that's sort of the idea, is that both speakers from both sides can ask questions of the other team. Finally, there's what's called the final focus, which is the last speech of the round. And this team spoke first, so again, they're going to go first. So this person is going to go for 2 minutes, and then this speaker is going to go for 2 minutes. That's the last speech of the round. So then the judge thinks about it, and then they'll make a decision for which team they thought won. There is also prep time in public forum. Each team has 3 minutes, which they can use whenever they like. So maybe before the summary, they want to use 1.5 minutes, and then 1.5 minutes here before the final focus. Or maybe they want to use 2 minutes for the summary and then 1 for the final focus. It's up to the teams to split it however they would like. So quick review. If this team is speaking first, they speak for 4 minutes, they speak for 4 minutes, then crossfire for 3. Then, second speaker, they speak for 4 minutes, they speak for 4 minutes, crossfire for 3 minutes. Now we're in the summaries. This is where, so everybody's spoken once, this is where the cutoff is. So now the first speaker goes again for 3 minutes for the summary. First speaker goes again for 3 minutes for the summary. And then they have grand cross between everybody for 3 minutes. Then lastly, the final focus. So this person speaks for the second time for 2 minutes, and they go for 2 minutes. And that's the end of the round. Now LincolnDouglas, let's go through how the round itself will work. First thing, and the main difference you'll notice here, is that because it is only single person teams, I guess they're not necessarily a team, but because it's a single person activity, there's one speaker on each side. So it's the affirmative and the negative speaker. And in LincolnDouglas, they do know which side they are before they come to the round. So again, on the pairing, they will be told you're affirmative or you're negative. So each of these debaters will know when they walk in the round which side they are debating. And the speech order is similar to policy, and that it goes affirmative, negative, affirmative, negative. But there's less speeches, and it's not even. So let's look at how. So first is the affirmative constructive, AC, affirmative constructive. So the affirmative speaker is going to speak for 6 minutes. Then is cross-examination. So the negative speaker will get to ask them questions for 3 minutes. Then comes the negative constructive, in which case this speaker is now going to go for 7 minutes. So they get 1 more minute. They get a little bit more time than the affirmative. And after that is cross-examination. So the affirmative speaker then gets to ask them questions for 3 minutes. Then is the first affirmative rebuttal, and they have 4 minutes. So this speaker is then going to give a speech for 4 minutes long. No cross-X. Cross-X is done after that. The negative is now going to give their last speech, the negative rebuttal. They're going to speak for 6 minutes. And then finally, to finish off the round, the last speech is the second affirmative rebuttal. They're going to speak for 3 minutes again. So notice the affirmative speaks one more time than the negative. They speak 1, 2, 3 times. Negative only speaks twice. But the negative has more time between those two speeches. So the affirmative has 6, 4, and 3, so 13 total minutes. The negative has 7 and 6, so still 13 total minutes. So the speech time is the same. It's just that the affirmative has a little bit shorter speeches, but 3 times. Negative has longer speeches, but twice. There is prep time as well. I would ask, because the rules have changed about how long the rules are sort of different depending on where you're debating, for how long each team gets for prep time. But again, you can use it wherever you'd like. So if you want to split it up, maybe use half after the 1 AR, and then or before the 1 AR, and use half for the 2 AR. That's entirely up to you.